Daybreak Africa is your one-stop top-notch breakfast show that brings you all the interesting stories happening in and around Africa.
Because we have all the morning essentials,
including the latest news, sports, weather, and events. And of course, the people.
Daybreak Africa on television Nigerian.
Weekdays, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m.
Hello and welcome to Daybreak Africa here on television Nigeria. I hope we're all doing fine this morning. My name is Bessie Joe.
And my name is Elvis Oga. Of course, it's another bright and beautiful Wednesday morning right here in the city of Abuja. And it is the 12th day in the month of August. An important day in the lives of youth, but we'll get into that much later.
All right, so hope you slept well. Hope you're doing okay.
I did.
You did. All right, so talking about insecurity in the country, I mean, some repentant Boko Haram, and not too long ago, probably last week, also, they have called out some names of some people that probably, like I would say, maybe behind or whatever menace that is going on in Borno State. And then you were talking about a video of someone who...
a particular man actually came out to say that he said a northern governor is the leader of the sect. And that's actually earned him a summon by DSS according to a report reaching us this morning.
And then my question now again is that if now we are getting to know that there are some names or there are some persons behind the menace going on in Borno, why do we see this body language like there's a pretense, like they don't know this is going on, and then probably try to pick these people and interrogate them or something?
You see, the fact is that for us to even get to this point is out of the persistence and then the consistency being put forward by our authorities and the government to say that the fight against insurgency is being won by the country. And, you know, it has actually taken another dimension. It has taken another different twist, and we've seen different angles, different revelations being made about them. You know, like you were talking about the statement credited to some presumed repentant Boko Haram members that came out to made mention of some name, and then with the issue of Melafia coming out to say a northern governor is actually heading the sect. And ordinarily one could say, okay, we're not doing much if we're not doing very much, if nothing has been done about this, but it just got to us that
because it goes beyond revealing names.
It just got to us that the DSS has already invited this man. So I think it's all about maybe watching what happens next after addressing or maybe getting some questions, some answers from this man after questioning, or let's see what will happen after them. And you know, the whole you were just making reference to Borno State. We still have issues of security challenges across some other northern states, even across almost every part of the country at the moment.
But the thing, I think why I was particular about Borno State is because, you know, even now that the news is so all over dailies about security chiefs trying to be changed and probably to see if there'll be improvements in security situation in Borno State and in Nigeria at large, mostly the northern part. Because if you notice, the insecurity problem or the insecurity issue has come out now more to the open since that video went viral on social media of the governor of Borno State being attacked at Baga. So that was since that time, and then he came out to say the president should address this insecurity issue in Borno State. So since then we've been seeing a couple of repentant Boko Haram members, statements being made by different people, names being called out by different people. Then the question now again is, people ask, when he was in Baga, that's the governor of Borno State, with his chief of, you understand, all of the security personnel around him, he kept making this statement, Baga is usually not known to have Boko Haram
I remember
attacks there.
particularly,
So
he was
why
saying
was
for like
it
2
there?
years now, that place has been cleared of any
So why were there
terrorist
attacks
attack.
there? That was the question he kept asking. So that means if they're talking that it wasn't Boko Haram that was actually there, then we should be saying that they are facing something else aside from Boko Haram.
Exactly. You know, like, it will not be very fair if we tend to talk about the security challenges in Borno State, which happens to be more like the epicenter of the Boko Haram attacks, as we've been dealing with for over a decade now. And then we also, that there was a time they were actually holding some part of the town like to their own, but you know, going by or out of the continuous onslaught by the military, we saw that okay, some of those spots were reclaimed back by the Nigerian authorities and all. But like we've been talking about, you know, just yesterday, as if I knew we were going to talk about this thing, and I've said some people actually see that okay, if there is peace and everything is going fine, they may not really be benefiting, because it seems that a whole lot of people are benefiting from the chaos that's been going about in different parts of the country.
We've been talking about that for a long time.
We've been talking about that for a long time, and because you know, it got to a point that the whole security challenges of the fight against Boko Haram appear to have been won by the Nigerian government. Then, out of nowhere, when I see resurgence, you get, when I saw resurgence of attacks upon attacks again, up to the extent that, okay, like you were talking about, the governor was attacked about 2 weeks ago.
Yes, and that's not the first time he was being attacked.
Yeah, and then we've been having different questions coming from different Nigerians, different bodies and all. There was this particular one you were asking before we came on set, and people were like, okay, fine, were there CCTV in place, or who actually put up that video and then brought it out? Could it be that they actually got information, or it was a pre-planned something, maybe to drive home a point? You know, these are the questions we need to really ask if we want to get to the root of this.
Very good questions, yeah, because anyway, that's that for that. Today is International Youth Day. And then I think we're going to be very particular about Nigeria.
Yes.
So subsequently, later in the program, we're going to have Jude Ferrami. He's a convener, Raising New Voices Initiative, and former national youth leader of COA Party. He's going to be with us in the studio this morning to talk vehemently on the youth in Nigeria.
Social representation, economic representation, and political representation.
Youth Day in Nigeria. Well, I think...
so many things we were not opportune to have, maybe like enjoy so many of these things, even though if we tend to enjoy them from the past, it used to be limited to some places. But with our nascent democracy growing, becoming more stronger, we tend to see some of those things being widely celebrated, widely accepted. I think just yesterday I saw from different youth organizations where there were nominations of people that are going to be going for the youth conference that's going to be held around somewhere around Southwest. And I think when we'll be talking about it, we'll go into that proper. And then you were talking about Youth Day in Nigeria, like have we really been doing much concerning Youth Day in the past? But at least I'm happy that this year has actually gotten some level of publicity.
There was this publicity for this year's Youth International Day. I mean, even this COVID-19 can tell a lot about the youth, how strong they are and persistent they are. You know, hand sanitizers, all of the face masks, all of that. We saw the youth really being out there. It wasn't the elderly people. You know, I was saying Happy Children's Day instead.
I saw that your comment on the group chat.
All right, it's time to get the news from Susan Archin.
Benignan Trading Group is a conglomerate of partnerships. Partnership with you. Partnership through investment for profit. Investment for returns, cutting across various corporate business spheres. Benignan offers you credible 15% returns on all investment with us. Benignan Trading Group, your choice's investment management company, has become a real marketplace administrators carefully selected as young bright minds who would spearhead this move into creating more prosperity and distributing them. This is what we mean by benignant. So come, be benignant with our increasing community of happy and enthusiastic investors. Why not call us at any of our offices closest to you or dial our number You'll be glad you did. You deserve the benignant touch.
BTG is your friend. BTG is your partner. BTG is your handbag. Yes, we are that flexible to become your handbag. We are your servants too. In the sense that we are using our information we've gathered, the knowledge we've come into, the understanding and mastered to bring you profit. Yeah, BTG takes the risk for you. BTG is your conduit to become better. We also give you return on investment on a monthly basis. Formerly it was 6%, but now it's from 7% to 15% return on investment monthly, which is categorized by capital.
You can call us on 0907 685 9446 or 0909 22 97081 or visit us on www.benignantcg.com. We are your reliable conduit.
There are a lot of false information about the coronavirus. These are the facts. People of all ages can be affected by the coronavirus. However, older people and people with pre-existing medical conditions such as asthma, diabetes, heart diseases are more vulnerable to
Good morning and welcome to AM News. I am Susan Achin. COVID-19 cases in Nigeria rose further on Tuesday, inching towards the 50,000 mark after the country confirmed 423 new cases. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control, which announces national figures, revealed that the new cases were spread across 21 states and the federal. Their lives. Now, President Muhammadu Buhari on Tuesday met with members of the Nigeria Governors Forum, NGF Security Council and others over the security challenges in the country. The meeting ended with calls for joint strategy to bring various conflicts to an end within time limits. It also agreed that field commanders should take measures to protect civilian communities as a confidence-building mechanism between the military and those communities. According to a statement by the President's Senior Special Assistant on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, it is hoped that when the trust that has been lost between both parties is re-established, there will be improved cooperation in intelligence gathering and sharing. Meanwhile, the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has announced plans to conduct 12 by-elections in 8 states. INEC's National Commissioner and Chairman of Information and Voter Education Committee, Festus Okoye, made the announcement in a statement on Tuesday. He disclosed that the electoral umpire would conduct all the pending by-elections on October 31. Okoye added that by the harmonized timetable, INEC would give the notice of election on Monday next week, while political parties would conduct their primaries to nominate candidates between August 24 and September 8. According to him, the submission of forms and personal particulars of candidates will take place between September 9 and 13. The Private Telecommunications and Communications Senior Staff Association of Nigeria has threatened to embark on a 2-week industrial action over the alleged anti-labor practices by the management of MTN Nigeria. The union, which is an affiliate of the Nigerian Labour Congress (NLC), issued the warning in a statement on Tuesday. It also vowed to disrupt the services of the telecommunications company nationwide after several attempts to resolve the issues failed. According to the union, the issues bothering the remuneration of workers, exit packages for long-term staff, employee relations practices, and alleged abuse of expatriate quota, among others. And on to the entertainment scene. Lucy, one of the housemates in the Big Brother Naija house, is fast becoming a fan favorite for the highlights she brings to the house. However, her latest squabble with the newly crowned head of house, Erica, did not end as anticipated. The pair got into a heated argument after Lucy made a comment that implied Kidwire controlled Erica's narrative despite Erica being head of house. While Lucy revealed it was a light-hearted comment, an enraged Erica dared Lucy to speak to her directly. Although this will not be the first time Lucy is getting into a fight, the housemates seemed unprepared for Erica's onslaught. Thankfully, the pair later resolved their arguments. And that's it on AM News. I am Susan Achin. Daybreak Africa will continue shortly. Stay with us.
There are a lot of false information about the coronavirus. These are the facts. People of all ages can be affected by the coronavirus. However, older people and people with pre-existing medical conditions such as asthma, diabetes, heart diseases are more vulnerable to the disease. It is not for old people alone. Gargling salt and warm water or chewing garlic and ginger cannot prevent the virus. Drinking alcohol, hot lemon, palm oil or chloroquine will not kill the virus. The virus cannot be transmitted through mosquito bites. Antibiotics do not work against the viruses. Antibiotics work only against bacteria. Boiling pineapple peels, lime and ginger does not kill the virus. Putting raw onions in rooms will not ward off the virus. Using or spraying Dettol, special oils and water all over your body cannot kill the virus. There is no scientific evidence that cooking, drinking or eating any of these is an effective treatment for coronavirus. Do not self-medicate and take responsibility by sharing only verified messages from health authorities such as NCDC, Federal Ministry of Health and WHO. By sharing only verified messages from health authorities such as NCDC, Federal Ministry of Health and WHO.
Alright, welcome back. This is still Daybreak Africa here on television Nigeria. Remember to watch us and stream us live on our YouTube page at Television Nigeria. Now it's time for the newspaper review.
I will now move on to some of the national dailies to see headlines we have from these dailies. Up first is the Punch newspaper with the following headlines. The banner headline we have from the Punch this morning reads, "Outrage greets death sentence on Kano musician for blasphemy." CSOs condemn judgment, says death sentence on musicians repulsive. Nigeria pardons terrorist, orders death for blasphemy. That is coming from Suleiman. Don't meddle in Islamic matters. Shagari's grandson tells Christians. That story can actually be found on page 2 of the Punch newspaper. And below that, Ondo inaugurates Amotekun, Akrodolo warns criminals. Still below that, Catholic bishops call for 40-day prayers over insecurity. Orphan 11 accuses Ogun stepfather hoodlums of rape. Sanwo-Olu leads APC campaign council for Ondo poll. And now let's take a look at some few more headlines above the nameplate. 32,800 generators powering ICT infrastructure. FG laments. You can check page 20 of the Punch newspaper for that particular story. And below that, DSS invites Melafia for accusing governor of sponsoring Boko Haram. That can be found on page 12. And then we also have Minister solicit COVID-19 vaccines as US present 200 ventilators. Lastly, airpeace to recall some pilots as FG intervenes. That story can be found on page 20. You can pick a copy of the Punch newspaper to get the details of these stories we brought your way and even more.
All right, let's take a look at This Day newspaper this morning. The big headline here: more weapons, aircraft coming for battle against Boko Haram, says Buhari. Assures military has resources to fight insurgents. Governors demand security bailout. Politicians exploit insecurity for personal gains, Zamfara governor alleges. Well, that's on page 9 of This Day newspaper. Still below that, showdown looms in Edo. 17 lawmakers insist on sitting. That's on page 9. I'll take this last story below the nameplate. Catholic bishops urge federal government to stop killing of Nigerians. That's on page 5. Above the nameplate, 34 applicants request for 90 billion naira from CBN's healthcare research grant. And then again, that's on page 10. And NNPC, $2.8 billion, AKK gas project won't fail like others. That's on page 8. Well, that does it for the Business Day newspaper.
All right, let's quickly move on to the Daily Times and see headlines we have from the Daily Times this morning with the banner headline, CBN's exchange rate unification alarms economists, manufacturers. That's on the page 2 of Daily Times newspaper. Below the picture story, NIPOS versus FIRS. Stamp duty, NIPOS denies operating illegal accounts. And then concerning insecurity, again, President Buhari meets service chiefs over insecurity. And then some story concerning our economy here. Capital market, new karma will boost foreign direct investment, capital market operators. And then the editorial story is talking about 2023 elections with the caption, 2023 elections, politicians and defections. That's not like the norm we have around here anytime general polls are fast approaching. All right, that does it for the Daily Times this morning.
All right, moving to the Business Day newspaper. In numbers, how Nigeria would look with higher COVID-19 testing. With 1.9 cases, would rank 4th globally, higher than Spain, Italy, UK combined. Beside the nameplate, Lagos targets local production of 1 million electricity meters within 4 years. And still below that, piracy could worsen on Nigerian waters as Minister ignores Senate directive on anchorage contract. But that does it for the Business Day newspaper this morning.
And straight from the Guardian newspaper this morning, still on the newspaper review segment of Daybreak Africa on television Nigeria. Many feared killed in fresh Borno attacks. Beside that, NECO releases timetable for 2020 examinations. Adoke's trial stalled over EFCC failure to list witnesses. And still beside that, how improper coal mining poses danger to health and others. And then the big banner headline we have from the Guardian newspaper this morning reads, how Southeast lost out in $93 billion foreign investment. And I'll take this last one here from the Guardian newspaper. Safety concern as Russia approves world first COVID-19 vaccine. We're actually talking about it, and then the vaccine receiving up to $1 billion orders already. All
right, let's take a look at the Daily Sun newspaper this morning. Ohaneze, we are interested in Igbo president, not Biafra. That's on page 8. Catholic bishops row over insecurity. Say Buhari has failed to keep 2015 promise. Northern bishops ask Southern Kaduna residents to defend themselves. Military hardware coming soon from US, China, Jordan. That's from the president. That's on page 6. You can see the picture story here. Some heads of security agencies setting ablaze counterfeit drugs seized by NDLEA Plateau Command in Jos yesterday. But still below that, 8 million at risk of flood disaster in Lagos, says NEMA. That's on page 28. I'll continue to preach Nigeria's unity. That's coming from Kalu. That's on page 8. Still beside that, Air Peace to recall some sacked pilots as federal government intervenes. Well, hallelujah to that. That's on page 25. And that does it for the Daily Sun newspaper.
All right, from the Nation newspaper, which happens to be the next paper up for review this morning, we take it from the top to the bottom. Just above the nameplate, COVID-19, Russia to mass produce vaccine. US gives 200 ventilators. And when I saw the story about President Trump fulfilling his promise, you recall that last time he put a call across to President Buhari and he was talking about supporting the country in the fight against COVID-19.
That was how many months ago?
Yeah, but finally it came.
How many cases do we have now?
that's business for another day. Right, beside that, Ohaneze, IPOB disagree on Igbo president. INEC to hold all by-elections on October 31st. And then below that, the banner headline from the Nation newspaper this morning reads, Buhari, more weapons, jets coming for insurgency fight. President orders military to chase Boko Haram to their haven. And then I'll take this last one here. CBN pegs equity funding for agri schemes at 2 billion naira. That does it for the Nation newspaper this morning.
All right, taking the last newspaper here, that's the Nigerian Tribune. The headline here, Nigeria queries security chiefs. How do terrorists get arms despite border closure? Very important question there. That's on page 3. Still beside that, Nigeria receives 200 ventilators from US, finally. That's on page 5. Reps to probe 9.4 trillion naira external loan, treasury bills. Probe customs, FIRS over unremitted pension in 2014. That's on page 4. 10-year-old boy chained with goats, 2 years in Kebbi rescued. That's on page 29. Still beside that, you can't remove 23,089 pensioners from payroll, Labour tells federal government. That's on page 2. Sanwo-Olu to lead APC's 104-member campaign team in Ondo. That's on page 2. Above the nameplate, EFCC arrests 3 core members, 19 undergraduates for internet fraud. That's on page 29, talking about International Youth Day. I'll take this last story here. WHO pours cold water on COVID-19 vaccine announced by Putin. That's on page 2. Well, that does it for the Nigerian Tribune, and that does it for the dailies this morning.
Exactly. We'll now take a quick break, and then when we return, we'll be delving into the International Youth Day proper. You recall that every August 12 is set aside by the United Nations
to celebrate the youth
Day. And not just only to celebrate them, but to make the world see the need for young people.
The involvement in all spheres. We'll be right back.
There are a lot of false information about the coronavirus. These are the facts. People of all ages can be affected by the coronavirus. However, older people and people with pre-existing medical conditions such as asthma, diabetes, heart diseases are more vulnerable to the disease. It is not for old people alone. Gargling salt and warm water or chewing garlic and ginger cannot prevent the virus. Drinking alcohol, hot lemon, palm oil or chloroquine will not kill the virus. The virus cannot be transmitted through mosquito bites. Antibiotics do not work against the viruses. Antibiotics work only against bacteria. Boiling pineapple peels, lime and ginger does not kill the virus. Putting raw onions in rooms will not ward off the virus. Using or spraying Dettol, special oils and water all over your body cannot kill the virus. There is no scientific evidence that cooking, drinking or eating any of these is an effective treatment for coronavirus. Do not self-medicate and take responsibility by sharing only verified messages from health authorities such as NCDC, Federal Ministry of Health and WHO. There are a lot of false information about the coronavirus. These are the facts. People of all ages can be affected by the coronavirus. However, older people and people with pre-existing medical conditions such as asthma, diabetes, heart diseases are more vulnerable to the disease. It is not for old people alone. Gargling salt and warm water or chewing garlic and ginger cannot prevent the virus. Drinking alcohol, hot lemon, palm oil or chloroquine will not kill the virus. The virus cannot be transmitted through mosquito bites. Antibiotics do not work against the viruses. Antibiotics work only against bacteria. Boiling pineapple peels, lime and ginger does not kill the virus. Putting raw onions in rooms will not ward off the virus. Using or spraying Dettol, special oils and water all over your body cannot kill the virus. There is no scientific evidence that cooking, drinking or eating any of these is an effective treatment for coronavirus. Do not self-medicate and take responsibility by sharing only verified messages from health authorities such as NCDC, Federal Ministry of Health and WHO.
Nigerian, a broadcast network committed to serving you the very best in online and offline television programming. Situated in the serene environment of Guzape, Abuja FCT, TVN, as it is fondly called, caters to a wide variety of audience via carefully orchestrated mind-blowing programs in the areas of fashion, business, politics, entertainment, religion, movies, food and health, culture and lifestyle, events around the globe, sports and foreign news. Whatever your inclination, we've got you completely covered with programs like Issues of the Moment, The Patriot, Daybreak Nigeria, Matter Africa, TVN Business Time, Healthy Living, From the Cradle, Stay Inspired, Entertainment Gist, Movie Hour, Hits Paradise, among others. All designed to keep you thoroughly informed, entertained, at the edge of your seats and yearning for more. A tour around our domain will reveal a highly dedicated staff force and a state-of-the-art facility and equipment for high-definition quality broadcast, making our station your #1 choice in advertising your business and propagating your ideas. We are currently on NightComSat doing our test transmission for takeoff in the nearest future. Television Nigerian is located in Nigeria at Television Nigerian House, Guzape Hilltop Mansion, beside Guzape White House, Guzape Abuja FCT, and in the United Kingdom at 45 Ancient House, 48 Aerodrome Road, Beaufort Park, Colindale, London. For inquiries,
Alright, welcome back. This is still Daybreak Africa here on television Nigeria. That's in case you're just joining us. So, today is International Youth Day, and we talked about having a guest here on the program with us in person of Jude Ferrami. Well, Jude Ferrami is the convener Raising New Voices Initiative and former national youth leader of Kowa Party. He's also an author of 2 books, precisely. Lead the People and the Pragmatics of Real Change. Well, we'll go on this break now, but we'll be right back to dive into the discussion on International Youth Day.
The definition of sound.
Alright, welcome back. It's still today, August 12th, and we're still dealing on International Youth Day, mostly in Nigeria. So we have Faromi with us, Jude. Welcome on the program.
Thank you
Daybreak
very
Africa
much.
Today.
All right, Jude, good to have you.
Thank you very much.
Like I commented on your outlook earlier on, and I was like, you're looking like a true Nigerian youth.
Well, it's a youth day. We should all look youthful.
Wow.
Wow. Okay.
That's good.
So I was asking you a question. What does International Youth Day mean to the youths in Nigeria?
Yeah, and how I was saying that the International Youth Day could mean whatever it is that we want it to mean for us as Nigerian youths, spread across the entire length of the country. The theme of the day is youth engagement for global action. And I was also saying that I don't know any other generation last I met than engaging the youth of our country, not for global action this time, but for national action.
Okay. And you recall that I was asking you, when you say organizing the youth and engaging the youth, like in what direction do you mean?
Yeah, so in the direction for, like I said, national action.
Okay.
National change in some sense of what our country looks like right now.
Okay.
You know, when I was coming, I was thinking about this slander that the youth are the leaders of tomorrow, and how they've constantly used that narrative to tell you that your time is not ripe yet. The time, exactly, your time is tomorrow. And you know what they say about tomorrow? Right, tomorrow never comes. And that it is time to actually change the narrative to saying that we're the leaders and the determinants of today, but the custodians of tomorrow. Wow. Because tomorrow there will be a different category of people who are now the young people.
Okay.
And as a generation today, as youths, we have the responsibility to hold in custody the future generation and what their lives is going to look like.
All right, okay, hold it. From your little explanation, I can actually get that. Okay, it means that ordinarily it seems we've actually been relegated to some level, because ordinarily we saw at some certain time, youth were becoming president of this country.
Yes.
We knew youth who were president at their late 20s, early 30s.
Yes.
And then how did they get here? When they start telling us we are the leaders of tomorrow. What happened to today?
Because those who got there never left. That would be the simple answer.
Okay.
The much more historical perspective to that question would be that we had a very long expanse of military rule from 1966 to 1999.
Yeah, sure.
And you know what what the military looks like is a system of hierarchy, right? And the people who took hold of power using the bullet, which is the guns, the military, and did these coups, are top of the military hierarchy, right? And so because they never die and they never leave, they stay there until 1999. And then they bequeathed to us, with the young people, a constitution that we never signed up to, and said we the people signed up to this constitution, and that's what we're still using up to today.
Exactly.
Another caveat is that when you look at that expanse of 33 years, you see that they have not just, which is why I said what I said later, that the youth are the leaders and the determinants of today and the custodians of tomorrow. During those 33 years, there were young people. In those 33 years, there's a generation of young people who are now older people, right?
Yeah.
But they could not hold in custody today, which is their home tomorrow. You get it? Which is our home today. And that is one of the democratic, I don't want to call it error or mistakes, but the situations that we find ourselves in a country where you have a generational overlap. Right, so you see the likes of Madam Hobby, Ezekwesili, Professor Kingsley Moghalu, and people who, the people who are currently in power today were already heard of say when they were their own age, right, and still now saying that we need to be able to do something about our country. Meanwhile, our own generation is now in a place where we have to say, well, the youth that we're talking about now is the Feladro Toyes and the Kingsley Moghalu. Those are younger Nigerians, relative to those who are in power today, right? But we now have to now say, how do we, which is why I said we have to organize, right? How do we change the narrative for our country? Because today there are more than 83 million Nigerians who are younger people. I don't know how old you guys are, but I assume that you're over 25 already,
sure.
Right? If you're over 25 in this country, you're in a minority. You're part of a minority group, right? People who are under 25 in this country form the larger part of our country. And on a daily basis, our population growth continues to increase 3% every year. What does that mean? It means that you have more babies being born. So in the next 5 years, you have a wider base of younger people, and then you seed more into the minority group.
Okay,
So
I think
organize.
Now, away from the political sphere
Yeah.
for the youth, let's jump into the economic view
Thank you.
of the youth in the country.
Yes.
Now, you see, it's looking more or less like the youths are on their own. The government is on its own.
Yeah.
These days, you see lots of youths diving into businesses solely by themselves, without any form of support from the government. I'm not saying probably one way or the other the government haven't tried to support the youth, but then on a scale, like I give you a rate, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the government's participation in businesses for the youth?
I'll just try and answer your question on another holistic perspective from the economic side, right? Youth employment in this country is above 55% before the COVID pandemic, right? So what you're thinking about is you are either underemployed or unemployed, right? So if you take 10 Nigerian youths at random, right, at least 6 of them have no jobs or they're working very, very low hours to earn a living, right? You have a Nigerian graduate, right, who says, have graduated, I want to get a job. He gets a job. Let's assume he gets a job, right? So he comes to Abuja to work or goes to Lagos or Port Harcourt to work. You know what the landlord tells him or her? You have to pay a year rent, right? Annual rent. So you don't go to your employer and say, Mr. Employer, give me my 1 year salary, right? So you already have an economic obstacle for that young guy too. So you see a lot of young people, for example in Abuja here, leave the central area and go to FHA, go to the suburbs. You see a lot of young people who come to the city to work from there, right? That's an economic disadvantage already. And when you start from that footing as a young person, right, the opportunities continue to reduce. And not just reduce drastically, but it earns 200,000 naira by 2020. In 2017, right, and proceeds through ranks, changes jobs in that industry. Now he earns 300,000 naira. The money that my friend earns today is less in value, right, than what he earned 3 years ago.
Even though it seems to be some
increment.
Even
though it seems to be some increment. I'll tell you another story. I have a friend who's a doctor who owns a startup, right? And I mean, startups get investment and then it goes ahead, goes and find, what's the name of these guys? Venture capitalists, right? So he gets some money to invest in a startup. Right, his startup is increasing and generating and like expanding, getting more customers, right? But his revenue is reducing in dollars, right? So my friend gets investment in dollars, right? So he's explaining to you, how do you explain to your investor that we're increasing in revenue, right? We're increasing in customers, people are paying more money, right? But when you calculate that in dollars, right, the money is dropping, the revenue is dropping. So the macroeconomic conditions of this country for the young people is very, very dire, right? And you combine that with youth unemployment rate, you combine that with the increasing poverty level of this country, you combine that with the systemic decay of all our institutions. I don't know how much time we have, but I can go on and on and on.
No, we have situations in the country for the youth where we see that youths now, at the end of the day, they find it difficult to stay in their country, Nigeria, and they want to go abroad. Now, it's kind of like 2 reasons. 1, greener pastures. And then 2, my country, they will not let me be. Probably from the security fair. Because I am driving a Benz, a Venza, or whatever they are being tagged a particular, okay, I am doing this on the internet fraud. They just assume it that way, so they don't give the youth this piece. Because some of them can legitimately actually be making money. But they do stop them. So this actually chases them away from the country. Now, those revenues that they would have been able to create for the country, at the end of the day, is no longer there. So that's why most time I'm asking, this demarcation between the government and the youth, how can it be improved?
Which is what, thank you very much for that question. It's a very, very great question, right? And I put something on Twitter recently. Got like, people were like, JFK, like, is this coming from you? And what did I say? I said, if you're a young Nigerian, right, and you're not ready to fight for this country, then leave this country.
Sure.
Right? Because if you think, even apart from the fact that you think that you're earning some money, right? Look at what I told you about my friend. Right? In the next couple of years, you don't know how much the price of the dollar is going to be, or how much the price of the pound is going to be. And our economy is tied to the dollar. Why? Because it is tied to the oil, to crude oil, which is now, depleting, and demand for oil is depleting across the entire country, across the entire globe, rather. Right? So why is it that young Nigerians find it very, very, or currently now find it important to leave the country? Right? Because the country does not work for us. And because the government, which is why, again, I say organize. A lot of times I have a philosophy background, right, undergraduate, right, and I've gone to public policy, masters, and And one of the fundamental things that you can ever get as a student of political philosophy, right, is that the economic determinants of a country control the political determinants of that country.
True.
And the political determinants control the economic determinants of the country. You can apply this to the situation, to the institutions, to the elites, and to the individuals, right? The politically powerful individuals in this country control the economic situation of the country, right? And that's why you cannot divorce those. In fact, there's an entire body of work that's called political economy. And people go to study, they are professors of political economy because they are intertwined. Right? And that's why I say eventually that there is no other national assignment right now in this country than engaging and organizing young people to say, this is our country. Right? If this country is going to work, we're going to have to come together and say, the future of Nigeria is, I'll tell you something. And again, please don't. I read the medium-term expenditure framework of the country for Nigeria from the Ministry of Finance.
Yes,
you understand the kind of loans that are currently, I mean, the debate around loans, right? Getting loans from China, the idea of sovereignty and whatever it is, right? In fact, maybe I should announce to all Nigerian youths right now, you are going to pay for these loans. Before you were not paying, right? The people, how do we pay loans? I mean, no, we were not getting taxed, we were not paying more taxes, right? Why? Because there was oil money. Now there's no oil money. So what happens? The federal government says that we're going to have to generate revenue for these loans that we're collecting. And how does that revenue mean? What does that revenue mean? Stamp duty. What does it mean? Increase in tenement rate. You now have to pay a 7% tax to the government because you want to rent a house.
So it's not favoring.
It's not favoring. You get, so which is why I say, again, go back to what I said in the beginning. We're custodians of tomorrow. If our future is going to be something that we can enjoy, or something that even guarantees opportunities for paying attention and organizing right now.
Okay.
Because the economic, on October 1, there's going to be like a book that's going to be released. These beautiful guys bring 60 young Nigerians to talk about the situation of the country. And I wrote a chapter there. It's called The Faulty Foundations of Our Economic Structure. Right? If you don't fix the economy of a country, right, there is no way that you will give we talk about Nigerian dream. What Nigerian youth is called Nigerian nightmare. And that's why everybody's leaving.
Sure.
If you cannot leave, or you are condemned to stay, or you don't have money to go, you cannot even go to Togo or Ghana. Let us organize and change this country.
All right, I find it very broad when you say organize.
Yeah.
I want you to break it down in simpler terms. Yeah. Organize, what do you mean?
By organize, this is what I mean. It's very, very clear. And thank you for asking a very beautiful question. First things first, when a system is dysfunctional, right, you have to understand that it is a system. Right? And what is a system? A system is a coming together of different parts. Yeah. Right? So you have the issue of corruption, for example. You have corruption in civil service. You have corruption in the private sector. You have corruption in the police. And then that's corruption. Right? Then you look at the problem is not just corruption because it is a system. What drives corruption? You go to poverty. Right? You find out more people, for example, you go to the civil service and you see this young guy there who works in civil service and says, I'm not going to take a bribe. When you find out and say everybody in the office is taking a bribe, this guy is not taking a bribe. Go and look at that guy. His child is going to a public school. The guy is taking a bribe, their children are going to private schools. Yeah. Right? So it's not in his own interest as an individual, right, to then start to say, okay, I'm not going to take a bribe, and then you have that building up of corruption because I don't want to lose out. Right? In that particular, and you can tie this to every other issue. Now, when you organize, I mean, identifying these issues one after the other, finding out the little issues or the root causes, and making a demand that fundamentally the root causes be changed. And I'll give you an example on corruption. The Office of the Auditor General in this country is, when on the group, you guys have Alaji Sonny here, Yabagi Sonny here, when it's one of these groups. And I put in that group and I said that the Office of the Auditor General is not even a dog that cannot bite. It's a teddy bear dog. Right? There are 272 institutions, agencies in this country that have refused to send their report to the Office of the Auditor General since 2015. Why? Because the law that backs the Office of the Auditor General in this country is the Auditor General is an employee of the Public Accounts Committee of the National Assembly. You by constitution, by law, you cannot audit NNPC. You cannot audit PPRA. You cannot audit there's one DPR, the Mineral Petroleum Resources. right? These are organizations that generate revenue for the country, that drive the kind of corruption that is massive. You cannot audit NDDC. Which is why this forensic audit that they are saying we have to do forensic audit outside of the Office of the General.
So this is where your team of organization comes in.
Which is why I said organize, right? Because now you have to get young people, youth associations. There are lots of youth organizations, and say, see, our future depends on the Federal Audit Service Commission bill has been in the National Assembly since 2016. They sent it to President Muhammadu Buhari by the Saraki-led Senate. He refused to sign it. In normal time, when the president refuses to sign a bill, right, he would say, this is why I'm not signing.
Return it back.
We didn't hear anything. We don't even know whether the bill got to the office of the desk of the president, right? That bill right now is in the National Assembly. And Connected Development is now trying to mobilize young people, right, to now say, let us go and sign this bill. This ties down to corruption across the entire country.
Okay. Now, away from the conversations, away from all the talks, all the campaigns, all the advocacies in Nigeria in terms for the youth to actually be involved in situations like this and probably coming into the organization of all of these firms in the country. Now, what changed since all of these conversations, since all of these advocacies, since democracy in Nigeria has it made any sense, improvement? Has it made any sense? Has it yielded any result? Like the advocacy of youth involvement in politics, maybe probably in the economy and what have you, has there been any improvement, like any remarkable change at least?
Read the headlines of newspapers.
No, we read them, but then in your own view, because you
the headlines of newspapers are clear. I was at I think Kaftan TV yesterday, right? And they gave, newspaper review, 6 newspapers. Every headline had insecurity on it. People dying across the entire country. Right? You know, we're talking about corruption now. This is another issue entirely. Right? And the reason is this. We have not had young people. The advocacy that we've had, Connected Development, for example, I told you they're working on Federal Audit Service Commission bill. Right? They are the organizations that are there. Right? What happened to the Catholic Youth Association of Nigeria? What happened to the Muslim Students MSSN? What happened to a couple of other religious organizations? We don't live today, International Youth Day. My client call is that young people in different organizations, youth organizations, religious organizations, Christian organizations, socio-cultural organizations. If you're a young person in this country and you're a leader of an organization, we need to come together and say, this is not just a job for code. Because when you have an advocacy and you say we want change, and you see, if I'm a lawmaker and I see 200 people outside the National Assembly, I'll drive past. Because code can only afford to mobilize 200 people. Right? But which is why I go back to why your question has to organize. Right? The reason why we've not had success, that we've not had improvement in the situation of this country, is because young people have refused to come together.
So wait, you're trying to say now there's a fault on the youths themselves, and then there's the fault coming from the government.
I mean, the government is the problem.
The government is the problem.
How do we solve it? Right? And I don't want to start throwing blames right now. Right? But how do we solve it? Is by bringing young people, youth organizations together. I have an organization, Raising New Voices Initiative. What are we doing? Right? This entire idea of loans, we even decided to write a letter. It's like a petition letter to the International Monetary Fund, the China Exim Bank, Import Exim Bank, Export Import Bank, IMF, the World Bank, and tell them that our generation is going to pay for these loans that you're giving these people.
Definitely.
Right? And we're not going to pay with oil money. Because oil money is the money that you hear in the newspaper that they've embezzled and you don't care. Right? We're going to pay with our sweat. Right? So if you continue to give them loans, and Nigeria is the poverty capital of the world, you have a report by the World Bank that says that Nigeria is going to remain the poverty capital of the world for the next 2 generations. And you continue to advance these people loans. Our generation is not going to pay this money. So just stop. That's what our letter is.
Okay.
Right?
Now your book, Lead the People and Pragmatics of Real Change. When did the first book come out? Which of your was your first?
So the Pragmatics of Real Change was the first book.
Well, like just a very, very brief.
Yeah. I'll just give you the summary. Pragmatics of Real Change. I wrote that when I found out that a lot of people were saying we want to change Nigeria, right? But they did not like. This is why I said the pragmatics of real change. Right? We want to change the country, but we'll go ahead and do civil society organization. Let them go and feed 20 people under the garage, under the bridge. And I'm like, you are doing it's a noble endeavor, right? But it's not going to change Nigeria. So if you want to like the pragmatics of changing the country, right? This is what you should do. That's what the book is about.
That's what the book is about.
Lead the People was published this year.
Okay.
And I realized that while you had people who read my book and said, I have lots of young people who have basically said, I've realized that this is how to really change the country, but I want to do something about it, but I'm alone, right? In that sense, you now need, which is what I said on the book launch, that it's no longer enough to say I'm the change I want to see, right? It's now important, much more important to say that I'm going to lead the change that I want to see. Wow. Because like that guy I mentioned to you in the civil service, who is doing, I'm not going to take bribes, right? If he remains alone in that space, that civil service place is going to remain corrupt for the rest of his life, right? But he now needs to begin to say that I'm not just going to be the change, I'm going to have to lead the change. Because it's when lots, which is on us to do with organizing, it's when lots of us young people in different spaces, right? Like what you guys are doing in the media, the TV I went to yesterday to young people, right? We need to begin to have these conversations when we organize and say this is how we can change our country and this is what we need to do, and then we'll put our numbers together, numbers, right? You then realize that there is a momentum and a wave of saying these are the things that need to change. You know, we need to begin to tackle them one after the other. Corruption, insecurity. In fact, we need to challenge.
Yeah.
I think we're getting to the final place. I want to
one
more thing.
Okay.
One more thing.
All right.
The Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is an order, right? Is a decree. And Nigeria, as currently constituted, is a project of the framers of that constitution, right? We have to, by default, right, scrap that constitution.
I think we'll go on a break now. We'll go on a very, very short break now. Okay. But then we'll be right back to continue the conversation. So let's go on the break now, and then we'll be right back to continue the conversation.
Now the match don't start. Today na him first catch coronavirus. Him pass am to Sarah. Sarah go market and she dash Adamu. Adamu carry the virus run come give him children for house. Now so the children carry the virus enter playground. From playground, it can't enter grandpa body. Grandpa take over, pass and give him friends as they shake hand for road. Now so grandpa friends. So before you know, they don't throw away and give everybody for yard. Now so corona enter box 18 and he say go. My people, if we give coronavirus chance, it go win all of us. Protect yourself and your family. Stay inside your house and make sure say you dey wash your hand with soap and water at least 12 times a day. If you get cough and fever and it dey hard you to breathe, call 0800 026 7662. Corona dey kill. Make we careful.
All right, welcome back. In case you're just joining us, this is still Daybreak Africa here on Television Nigeria. And here in the studio, we're celebrating International Youth Day with
Mr. Jude.
Mr. Jude.
You were trying to make a point before we took that break.
Yeah, and I see I still have more time, so I'll just go there. Right? I was trying to say that fundamentally, we have a constitution that was designed to benefit a certain crop of people in the country. Right? So the presidency is an institution that has a lot of powers, right? But that benefits those who currently, and though they're still alive, right? The framers of the 1999 Constitution. And as a matter of fact, right, we have to begin to organize and say, we don't want this constitution again, right? To have an entirely new face of this country moving, and we can only do this when we organize, right? Right? But I'm saying that when we're able to do that and bring all the young people of this country together and say, what is our future going to look like? Where we have to begin, right? After tackling a couple of all these corruption, security issues, but where we have to begin, right, is to say that this constitution has to go. And we need a new constitution. Because by a new constitution, you begin to give legitimacy to how we govern our country, right? The 1999 constitution had no conference. The military woke up and said, this is they picked a few things from the previous constitutions that we had, right? But then inserted, for example...
Are some constitutions actually being amended right now? We've had
there are series of constitutional amendments, but what I'm saying is we no longer need the process where you're trying to patch. We need a totally new constitution, right? An example, I don't know if you guys do newspaper reviews, right? So you know about the issue of the guy who did blasphemy in Kano, right? And it's currently being sentenced to death by Sharia law, right? The Constitution of Nigeria, or the Federal Republic of Nigeria, grants you rights to freedom of expression, religious expression. It is written in the Constitution, right? But the same Constitution tells you that you cannot go to court to demand those rights. It says Chapter 2 of the Constitution is unjusticiable, right? So they give you rights and they take it away. Is that a way to govern a country. No.
Apart from that.
Another example, the president of Nigeria is the most powerful president in the world. Right? And that's why you cannot become president unless the framers of the constitution and the people with the powers that be want you together. Because that office is designed for their own benefit. An example, if you have, you know what you call environmental impact assessment, right? If you have a project that you want to place, right, and you're connected to the presidency, right, and this environmental impact assessment will kill 200,000 people in the next 2 years. After doing that environmental impact assessment, the president of Nigeria has the powers to waive that impact assessment and tell you to go ahead with your project. Irrespective of whether he knows about the impact or whether he doesn't know, he has the power to say, I'm waiving this. Another example, this is why innovation and technology is not really, well, we're basically just imitating technology, right? The Patents Act of Nigeria grants the Minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and the President the powers to waive your patents on any innovation that you have. So when you see our scientists and a couple of all these guys that do stuff, and you see a video that's trending on Twitter, this guy is making a car, or this guy is making a machine that works, the next thing you hear, they go to the US, or they go to countries or Sweden, right? Because these countries have very, very important patent laws. And no government anywhere will say that this idea that you have would now be, in fact, the way the law writes is that if it is in the discretion of the minister or the president that this innovation will benefit Nigerian people, they'll waive your patent. That's not the way to govern any country.
So I think I'm going to take you back.
Yeah, I'm
going to take you back from a conversation from your book, Pragmatics of Real Change, and then Lead the People. Now, you talked about people not understanding how to bring about change in the country.
Yes.
And then you now also talk about
it's not enough to say
I
am the change I want.
This,
I want to be the change.
How do you do it? How do you go about it now? What is your view about godfatherism in the country? Now, a youth can come out and say, okay, for my community, I want to do this, I want to do that, but then there is no backing, there is no political party that I think that if I join this now, they will actually take me seriously enough. Godfatherism now comes in. But then, you as a youth, you have the reason why you want to attain a particular position. And your godfather has a reason why he wants you to be there, to do his own bidding. At that point in time, Godfatherism. Now, you see, sometimes it looks like it takes a twist in the heads of the youth, because probably they are there for a particular reason. Because we have honorables in the National Assembly now that are quite young. I've seen them. So now the thing is that, are they really doing their bidding, or they're doing that of their godfathers? So Godfatherism in the country, what is your view about it, mostly in the lives of the youth, not even the other ones?
All right. Thank you very much for that brilliant question. Politics is largely, and I mean, I hate to say this, but it's the truth. Politics is largely an elite consensus.
True.
Right? Political elite group or economic elite group, you go back to that philosophical quote I told you about politics controlling economy, economy controlling politics. Politics is like an elite consensus. A political elite group in a country sit down and say, this is how we want to govern our country. In fact, that's the definition of ideology. The ideas of a certain group of people imposed on the rest of the society. That's what ideology means, right? Now, the first, in fact, I can say a lot. In fact, one of the things I say in Pragmatics of Real Change is that Nigeria has a cycle of woes, right? We have lots of problems. You cannot say this is the number one problem Nigeria has. But one problem Nigeria has today is that we have a political elite that has no enlightened self-interest, right? So their only formula is to go into politics and find out how can we milk this place, how can we get basically just for my interest. And that's why the godfathers in Nigeria today, or those who take the role of godfathers in Nigeria today, behave the way they behave. Right? Because they're not self-interested. They don't have an enlightened self-interest that we need to build up a society, right, so that we can also benefit. I mean, people want to benefit. People have self-interest, right? But you need to build this society in this particular kind of way so that you can benefit. So the problem begins from the kind and the quality of elites that we have in Nigeria, which is why the godfathers that are currently in this country are behaving and acting the way they currently behave. That's one. Secondly, when you go to the side of the young people, the young person who says, I want to lead change, the first thing I say in Lead the People, right, is basically project a way for you to become a relevant young person in your community, right? Because that's also very, very important. You see, Nigerian godfathers are businessmen. right? In fact, politics there is a business model, right? So the business guy, who is godfather, is looking at this young person and says, if I put my money in this guy or in this business in code, right?
Because the guy that uses
the guy has numbers, right? And by that time, when you have a conversation with that kind of person, you begin to say that, okay, you have a more leverage to say, this is what I want to do. These are my ideas, right? And you are going to say, okay, you want to sponsor or support me in getting to this position within this political party, right? Then these are the things that I want to do. You have more leverage because you're a person of the people, right? Not because you are going to the godfather to say, put me in this structure, impose me on the party, and then I'll give you whatever you want. Okay. So Lead the People as a book basically gets you from that point of I am a young person and now I am a young relevant person in society that people want to follow. You get that's very, very important in tackling this issue of godfatherism. Secondly, and in a very, very fast manner, my organization, Raising New Voices Initiative, right, we're campaigning for electoral reforms in the sense of youth inclusion, right? And if you go through the electoral reforms that's currently at the National Assembly, we are now going to have robust reforms that would limit the impact of godfathers in Nigeria. And I'm really, really looking forward to that reform.
Thank God you made mention of electoral reforms, and then there was something you talked about earlier on when you were making some point. You said the youth have not really come together, they are not really united. We know that's because of some certain factors. How do we deal with these factors? And then talking about electoral reform, your view on not too young to wrong bill, the reality of it. Quickly.
Very, very briefly, please.
Not too young to wrong bill, let me start from that. Right? Is a precursor to the electoral reform bill. And now that we've had the not too young to wrong bill and young people can run, we're now trying to use the electoral reform bill to remove the real obstacles for young people to run. You get that's important. Now, on the earlier question you asked me about young people not being united, right? My answer to that is a very simple one. The alternative status quo before us in the next couple of years, right, is not even worth considering the kind of differences that we have right now as youth organizations. Nigeria is the poverty capital of the world, but we're not even close to the kind of chaos that you can imagine. Why? I mean, Professor Paso to me was saying like day before yesterday that we're on the road to Somalia. Imagine 400 million people, which is 2035. I don't know how old you'll be in 2035, but think about 2035. Nigeria has 400 million people. So imagine 400 million people where 80% of the population are living under $1 or $1.99 a day. It doesn't matter how much you're earning. You are an extinct species. You are prone to extinction. Because here you have poor people who have no hope, no jobs, no skills. Our education system is in tatters, right? And then you, as a middle class person, think that you can live in that kind of society and survive. We need to think about that when we're talking about we're different, we're youth organizations, we're not united.
Mr. Jude, I'm very sorry, but this is where the conversation has to end.
That's okay,
It's really very interesting having you.
Quite engaging as well.
I'm telling you on the program this morning. Thank you very much. And then happy International Youth Day.
Happy International Youth Day.
We just hope that next edition of the International Youth Day we'll be talking about gains and successes
and
being recorded out of this discussion.
Maybe we'll repeat like Occupy Nigeria.
All right, it's been Daybreak Africa, and we'll go on this promo break now, but we'll be right back.
Now the match don't start. Tunde na him first catch coronavirus. Him pass am to Sarah. Sarah go market and she dash Adamu. Adamu carry the virus run come give him children for house. Now so the children carry the virus enter playground. From playground, it can't enter grandpa body. Grandpa take over, pass and give him friends as they shake hand for road. Now so grandpa friends carry coronavirus go their house. Before you know, they don't throw away and give everybody for yard. Now so corona enter box 18 and he say go! My people, if we give coronavirus chance, it go win all of us. Protect yourself and your family. Stay inside your house and make sure say you dey wash your hand with soap and water at least 12 times a day. If you get cough and fever and it dey hard you to breathe, call 0800 026 7662. Corona dey kill. Make we careful It dey hard you to breathe, call 0800 026 7662. Corona dey kill. Make we careful Now the match don't start. Tunde na him first catch coronavirus. Him pass am to Sarah. Sarah go market and she dash Adamu. Adamu carry the virus run come give him children for house. Now so the children carry the virus enter playground. From playground, it can't enter grandpa body. Grandpa take over, pass and give him friends as they shake hand for road. Now so grandpa friends carry coronavirus go their house. Before you know, they don't throw away and give everybody for yard. Now so corona enter box 18 and he say go! My people, if we give coronavirus chance.
This is still Daybreak Africa on television Nigeria, and then after saying that I realized I have to say it's been Daybreak Africa on television Nigeria, because that is the much we can take on today's edition of the program. My name is Elvis Oga.
And my name is Messenger. Do have a wonderful day, and it's International Youth Day, so count your achievements and count what has not been gained, but then everything will be fine. Have a nice day.
Bye-bye.